Hello, it's Tom Brown here on day 4. It's the fourth and final day of the BUCS National Championships here in Sheffield. Team Durham's press scholar Matthew Walters and I are back in the indoor athletics arena, and I'm joined now by Owen Walpole, Durham's club captain for their athletics and cross-country club. Owen, talk us through the team's performance so far.
Well, before coming into it, we had quite a few injuries, so we were missing quite a few members of our team, but the people that were here produced some quite good performances. We've got at half 2 today is the 3K final, and Matt Proctor progressed well into that from yesterday. Looked strong in his heat and qualified quite comfortably. And Alex Davey also ran in the 3K and didn't get through, but ran quite well and didn't have much experience indoors and produced quite a good performance. We had the 200 metre heats this morning, and John Siddle and Gareth Phillips performed quite well in those. They didn't progress, but they ran good times for them and also getting some more experience indoors. I had quite a busy day yesterday. I had a 1500 metre heat and then the heat and semi-final of the 800, which was a busy day, but I was pleased with how I performed across those and ran quicker than last year, so it seems to bode well for outdoors. That was about it for our team so far, and we performed quite well, and it's all good experience going forward and seems to bode well for the outdoor season.
Thanks very much, Owen. Right, I'm going to bring in Matt now, and let's have a chat about some of the action we've seen over the past 4 days here. What's been your personal highlight of the competition so far?
It's quite hard to choose because we've seen so much fantastic sport, and Durham, even if they haven't won the competition they've been competing in, they've always made it exciting. They have turned up on the day, and one thing that you can't really accuse Durham of is coming to Sheffield and underperforming. That really hasn't been the case. If I had to choose a personal highlight, it would probably be the second quarter of the men's basketball. That was the quarter-final against Leeds Met, and it was just the way that Durham they'd slipped in the game, they'd let themselves go defensively. They weren't playing with the usual penetration and composure that we've seen them play with this season. And in this second quarter, they came out, they looked refreshed, they looked energised, and they really put in a fantastic performance, not only to haul back Leeds Met's lead, but actually to take the lead by half-time. It was a fantastic effort, and really that displayed everything we needed to know about that team, that they had the mental resources, if you like, to become one of the best student basketball teams in the country, and in future years that may be something indeed that we see, that they become the very, very best.
The attitude of the basketball team really has impressed me as well, and I remember mentioning on yesterday's report, and in fact I put it to the coach Ian Hewitt himself, they had a very flat first section to the fourth and final quarter. They were playing London Met, and they were leading all the way through, and it looked like they were going to win, but they just had a bit of a dip. Like you mentioned there, they had a bit of a dip against Leeds. They had a bit of a dip, and Ian called a timeout, got them all together and tried to wake them all up, and went around the group actually pushing them to try and psych them up, and they actually responded very well, and they took then the game by the scruff of the neck, and they say it was a fantastic response, and they say it really demonstrated their attitude. Earlier in the week we were down to school just south of Sheffield to watch the lacrosse, and that also with 2 victories in the women's trophy and the men's national championship, that also has to go down as one of the highlights from a Durham perspective.
Absolutely. In terms of lacrosse, it was really the crowning glory for Durham to actually, in 2 separate competitions, crown themselves as national champions. They really are, and it doesn't dawn on you immediately when you see the performance, when you see the game actually happening in front of you, that Durham are competing at the very pinnacle of university lacrosse in this country, and really it's something that they deserve to have. It's their reward for a season of hard work, hours and hours of training outside, inside, in gyms, outside gyms, really working to perfect their game. And in recent weeks we've certainly seen a kind of momentum develop in the women's lacrosse twos, especially the men's lacrosse team. Just to go back to the other victory that we had there, the men's lacrosse team winning the national final, having had a season of flamboyant performances, but ultimately winning performances. They're not just tricky opponents to play against, but they are ultimately opponents that have the mental resources, have the physical capability to win a top tournament, and it was a pleasure to see both sides rewarded here.
Basketball and lacrosse are very much sports in Durham that get a lot of funding, a lot of attention. We've certainly seen these teams play all year. But what's been nice about the BUCS Championships is it's brought a lot of other sports to the fore as well. The news then today we got this morning that our ultimate frisbee side have made it through to the last four. And also there's been some great performances that we've just heard from Owen in the indoor athletics as well. And it's nice that championships like this can really bring, like I said, other sports to the fore as well, isn't it?
The sad reality is that when you cover any university sport, invariably people will be missed out. Teams won't get results covered in the way that maybe a lacrosse team or a rugby union team perhaps would. And what's nice here is that athletes from Durham that perhaps don't get the limelight throughout the course of the year have quietly gone about their business throughout the season. They've trained, they've performed, they've won their qualifying rounds, if you like, to get here. And now that they're here, they're actually doing themselves in a very quiet way a great credit to the university. It's not just the winning that counts, it's the being here, it's mixing with athletes of this calibre, and you invariably learn something from it. And that's why some of these quieter teams, if you like, that we don't know so much about, being here and performing is so great for the university.
And one of those teams would be women's futsal as well, who we mentioned, who is exactly, you're right, exactly what you've just said, is it's not always the winning that counts, it is also the taking part. And this team, really just in being in Sheffield, is a great achievement in itself. And the same could be said of women's hockey, who have had an absolutely unbelievable season and didn't quite fall over the line to become national champions, but can still call themselves the second best team in the country. And it's really nice that these sort of teams have had some form of recognition, even though it isn't, like we say, a national championship.
It's nice for the women's hockey because many of their players aren't third years, and so the experience of being here, competing, being amongst these athletes will stand them in good stead next season.
That's right. Well, thank you very much, Matt, for joining me here in these championships. It's been an absolutely fantastic 4 days. We've seen some unbelievable sports, and Matt's been writing them all up. You can read all about it just below these reports on the Team Durham website. And now the weekend then is just about drawing to a close, and there was just one really, from Durham's point of view, one thing left to settle, and that was the basketball. And they were taking on Northumbria in the playoff for 5th place, and with their coach Ian Hewitt, the team is officially the 5th best team in the country. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, 3 years ago we were 3rd division. Now we're 5th best team in the country, so it's a good feeling to come that quick in that quick of a time. Yeah.
And lots of potential to go on to next season and maybe go into the top 4 or maybe even into the top 1. You could be the best team in the country this time next year, because you showed a lot of potential this weekend, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've came out of this with a 2-1 record. You know, 4th place, won 1 game and lost 2. So, you know, that spot's open. We'll be going for first next year, though.
And just coming back to this game, a 91-75 victory. How were you impressed with the team's stamina? Because this was obviously their 3rd game in 3 days, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know, it was tough mentally because we played them in the National League 5 times and beat them 5 times, and then it's our 3rd day, and there was a lot of tough mental challenges, tough physical challenges, and we got through and won it. Yeah, so the lads did well. Yep.
And overall, how have you found this weekend here at BUCS in Sheffield?
Great tournament. It was great to be here. It was great experience, and I think we'll do better next year now that we've got that experience on board.
And with that, the 2010 BUCS National Championships came to a close. It's been an absolutely fantastic event, full of sport of the highest calibre, and there's been plenty of highlights from Durham's perspective. 2 lacrosse sides are national champions. The women's hockey Wands are the 2nd best team in the country. The women's tennis Wands and the ultimate frisbee side both got into their respective top 4s, and of course, as we've just heard, the basketball side are the 5th best team in the entire country. I hope you've enjoyed these reports. We'll see you next year for the BUCS National Championships of 2011.